Everybody's calling for a Bitcoin run right about now. But are you sure? Let's see what the charts have to say about it because I differ. Let's get into this. Okay, guys, I am back. It's Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro, and there is a lot of action going on with Bitcoin. Everyone's saying that we're on the brink of a run. And just one day after my last video where I was talking about Bitcoin dropping down and correcting, it looks like I was slightly wrong. Or was I? Why don't we take a look at the chart so we can analyze the action and see just how sure all of these prognosticators can be about Bitcoin potentially running like right now. Okay, get rid of my handsome face there. We are on the 4-hour chart. So let's do a little bit of drawing. Yesterday, of course, I shared the video with you that I thought that Bitcoin was going to start to drop and stay kind of around this blue line that you see here until we jump all the way down to this juncture where this, I believe, the 4.618 red fib circle ring crosses with this other green 4.618 ring, and also at a common point of where I had projected the OBV would be after reproducing this same downward movement that we had previously, the same measured move. But of course, Bitcoin makes a fool out of me, and instead of going down, we kind of went up. So I started to get a little bit nervous, and I was thinking, well, I guess I got this wrong. And like I always say, I'm not absolutely an expert at making predictions, so don't make any decisions on investing based off of what you see from a random person on YouTube. I am just calling it like you remember how John Madden used to do with football. He'd be calling games and just saying crazy stuff and enjoying himself. Well, I'm kind of the John Madden of crypto. What you see here, what you got here, a guy crosses this line here and he gets into that end zone there, that 6 points, that's a touchdown. So I'm just calling it like I see it. All right, so we had this little bit of movement up here that has gone on since my last video, since the video yesterday. And I was afraid that this was just going to shoot on up and start to look for the top part of this ring here, or at least get up to one of these two other light red fib circle rings. It's based on a much larger time frame. So apparently that's wrong too. And it looks like we're stuck in a little bit of indecision. Indecision. When I see things like this on the chart, I tend to turn off all of the loudmouth YouTube jockeys who claim, today, my friends, today, the Bitcoin price is going to the moon at this exact point. And then you turn around and the next day, it's down 500 points. So anyway, let me show you what I see and why my confidence in a run right now has been eroded. All right. As we were saying, we've got this little crazy area here where the price is going sideways. But let's look at some other things that are going on while we are sideways moving, propagating in just the right direction, headed to the right. Instead of up and down, we're just kind of headed this way. Let's see what other evidence that there is that causes me to be just a little bit troubled. Number one, it's this thing right here, the stochastic. All right, so yesterday I told you that the stochastic had peaked and that the blue line had crossed over the slow red line. Well, guess what? The fast line gathered itself and went back above the red line. So it was another upward movement that coincided with the jump that we see right here on that candle. Okay, but now since then, what's happened? Now we've got the blue line going underneath the red line, and we have rounded off. Look at this, we have rounded off here, okay? And so this looks a little bit more determined. Now, what can happen, and I've talked about this in the past, you can get a double hump camel where you think this is gonna dip, and then it does something like this, and then does another dip. But for right now, I can say that with this evidence, it looks like this is pointing downward, and we just see another little tick just happen right down here on the OBV. This is ticking up. Well, anyway, back to my point here. This stochastic situation to me does not say that we're about to pump. And if it did, well, it might come back down, but sometimes when you're in the midst of a run, the stochastic can bottom out. It can go all the way down to the bottom here while the price stays level. And that's what you call a divergence. So you have to look out for that. That's why this is not always 100%. But for right now, this casts a shadow of a doubt in my mind. All right, let's look at the second bit of evidence as we scrunch the chart in here so we can see this trend line that I've made on the OBV. All right, now let me just extend this. Look how long this goes back. We're just connecting the dots to the peaks on the OBV. Now, when I include this one, which is a little higher, it brings this current peak here back under or just right at the line. I want an arrow, not that ugly thing. There we go, arrow tool. So there we are. The OBV, on balance volume, which is an approximation of how much people are buying or selling. And this is not exact, okay? They take this by just adding up the volume on a red bar and subtracting that from the volume that happens on a green bar. And it's supposed to give this idea that, like in an area when it's moving up, that the insiders are loading up, and when it's going down, that the insiders are dumping, or like, say, the miners are selling their Bitcoin and taking profits. But it's just an approximation. It doesn't really, you can't make a direct correlation, and we don't know. There's no way to know if the insiders are really loading up more or distributing more while the suckers are buying in. We don't know. Well, anyway, back to the point. Here we are at the top of the line. And just as we're talking here, it looked like we just took another tick down. So let's turn drawing mode off and zoom back in. This just happened right while I'm talking. See that little tick down? We got a nice little red candle there. Red candles. This is looking pretty good there. Little tick downward, which further confirms this little movement here as a possible reversal. Now, that is evidence number 2, because I was looking for this little movement to happen here as a continuation of this same repeating pattern that we've seen right here with the overall OBV going down. Now, why would it be going down? Well, maybe it's because we're really considering filling that CME gap. I don't know. All right, well, let's look at the next bit of evidence as I turn drawing mode off. The next bit of evidence is this volume. Why are we pumping up when volume really is just not significant right now? It's nothing to write home about. Look at this volume. It's just kind of on a steady decrease, but we've got, a little bit of a bump here that coincides with this move up here, but not enough to really justify that big of a bump. So I consider this to be a setup. Here's another bit of evidence of why I don't trust this as the breakout move. Let's look at the volume profile, okay? And I'm still learning about volume profile, so please keep that in mind. I'm learning more and more every day. I watch tons of videos on how to use this indicator. Well, the volume profile, we see a low volume here. We see a low volume here, and those tend to be slip zones. Price tends to slip when we trade within those areas. And so notice how as soon as we ticked above this point right here, we kind of fell into the slip zone, and then we had that nice little green candle that shot up there, all right? And it allowed us to cross over this little trend line, this arbitrary blue trend line that I created, okay? And so prices slipped up, and now, is it any surprise or coincidence that the price is settled in right there in this chunk? We're right there in that chunk of volume. And here's our other nice big chunk in volume. So with this happening here and this rejection happening here, I kind of wonder if we're going to come back down, to this concentration somewhere around the 10,300 range, and then maybe continue to crawl along this line until we go close to the end of this crossing here of these magical fib circle rings that predict human behavior, as buying and selling tends to play out in the form of waves. And when you see, let me tell you something else, whenever you see my fib circle rings crossing each other and all these things on here, let me tell you why these things become significant. Here's why. Let's say you throw a rock into a pond and it goes bloop, there's our rock. It's into the pond. And what do you get from that? This is from Physics 175 when I was in college. I'm an engineer, by the way, that's why I like all this stuff. We have waves that propagate. Now what happens as the waves propagate? They get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, guess what? What do you notice with my illustration of the rock hitting the pond with these waves? Does that not look like the waves that we see right here in this set of fib circles that I have constructed, the red fib circles? It looks interesting. Well, let me tell you something else. If we threw a rock over here, like, here's our little rock right there, it's gonna make waves. So we get wave, bigger, 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 bigger. And then we have these little points where the waves will cross. And in physics, these become destructive to each other and they cancel each other out. And so you get these funky little patterns that happens. If you want some fun, look up the double slit experiment on YouTube and you'll see more about waves and how it is scientifically proven that light is a wave of energy, and it's also a particle depending on how you observe it. Well, that's enough of the nerd stuff. Anyway, this is why fib circles work. It's wave analysis, and that's why certain times we see magical things happen when my magical fib circles cross each other. Okay, so let's get rid of all of that. I forgot where I was. So we had these two fib rings crossing right here. We have the projected movement of the what do you call it, on balance volume. If this rejection continues, we're going to head down here, and like I said in the last video, it'll end up kind of bringing us somewhere in this range here of where these fib circles are crossing. And then here's the thing, what concerns me is if this happens, well, it's not a concern, it'd be a good thing. If we get down to this point here, we're going to be in another slip zone. Look, where's the volume here? It doesn't exist. And that's why some people were predicting before that if we hit that CME gap of 9,600, that the price is going to do this, and that we could go down as low as 7,000, which I don't think it will do. Let's clear this, turn drawing mode off, and zoom out so we can get some more volume in here on the profile. Look at the heavy trading volume right there at the point of control. I finally said it, point of control at 92.55. The next one after that, if we scrunch down, the high point would be right here at around 7,000. That's where they're getting that from, okay? That's what they're doing there. They're saying that if price, fails and we get to this volume cluster, that the target would in fact be, like right here. That's a big if, but we don't know if that's actually going to happen. And like I said, I could be completely wrong, so don't take it from me. But this is just enough evidence to show you that you shouldn't always believe everything you hear and the hype that goes on these YouTube videos when everybody starts to get to making their predictions. And the one thing is, volume profiles, they don't lie. Okay, we can always trust that these insiders like to do their action right along in these great big chunks. These are the zones where people get froggy from the institutional end and start to make major moves, but they set us up to make money from us, from the little people, because they can drive price up and short sell and profit while a dump happens just by creating an artificial frenzy from a move like this. So in my next video, I'm going to show you the effect this is having on the rest of the market, and we'll get into some of the other altcoins. As a matter of fact, let me just scrunch this in here and just show you some of this action where it's pretty interesting here. I'll just blip through so you can see it. XRP is in a side banding movement. Litecoin, which is an early indicator of things to come. It's always led Bitcoin. What is Litecoin doing right now? Well, it's looking like it's about to correct. You know, we've got the stochastic that is clearly in a downward movement. We have another downtrend happening on the OBV. So Bitcoin could follow this. Ethereum is bouncing off of one of my magical Fib circle rings. I'm thinking this correction is not done as we see the stochastic in a very bearish movement. DNT, District 0X. Somebody dumped. Look at this OBV. This is troubling. I own this one. I've got a bag of this. And whenever you see something like that happen, you know that's not a good indication that somebody got rid of a great big fat chunk. Look at this. Look at that red candle right there. Now this is all happening while this action on BTC is taking place. Now, Lind, Ave, major correction. This thing has been overbought and on a tear for a long time. And I've been thinking this thing is coming back down to earth. And I thought before it was going to come back to the point of control at 56 cents. And we are almost there right now. Loom is correcting. I sold here where you see the red hammer and took profit. Key, I'm going to have a video on this soon. Key is holding off. It's holding its general green ascending baseline. Mainframe, it's kind of holding. CVC is looking weak. Toko, very popular, but not impressive with the latest action. DOT, I got another video coming up on this because I was looking to buy in this little hot zone here and it didn't happen. We bounced off of this, what I thought to be a resistance line, but now it's correcting and I'm gonna buy some more, put some more dots in my bag because we're getting close to that ascending baseline again. LYXE, I've been telling people watch out because LYXE is gonna hit this slide zone. It's in there right now. I'm looking for LYXE to possibly take another dump, and it could dump hard unless it gets its act together. IOST, hard correction as it was crawling along this magical Fib circle line. I bought more in my bag right here thinking it was going to bounce back up to the point of control, and it didn't, so I might have to load up some more. Chainlink is correcting. Not good. It's in a slip zone. I said a few days ago that it's going to be looking at maybe a $7 or $8 price. Tron is slipping. I mean, look at all this red, guys. FTM, Phantom, slipping down into the slide zone on the volume profile. I'm not looking so hot on OXT. I bought my bag at 43 cents. VET, I'm waiting on. It is still correcting, not as bad, crawling along this magical Fib circle boundary. ANKR, I am praying that it continues to correct because I want to get a bag at like 0.005 or 0.006, but it might be about to bottom out. But if we get below this 0.0068 level, it's going to hit a zip zone. And then there is Zilliqa. Zilliqa is correcting. So across the board, it's looking pretty nasty. But anyway, I just wanted to update you on this action. So what's your opinion? What do you think BTC is going to do? Is it going to pump up? Am I wrong? Is this correction over? Is the CME gap out the window? Or do you think it's going to correct and fill that gap? I'd love to hear your comments and let me know what project you would like me to delve deeper into. Shout out to all my new fantastic subscribers. I'm glad to see you here and looking forward to chopping it up with you in the comments. And by request, someone asked me to look at Polkadot, and I will provide an update on that action and show you what's happened since I added to my itty bitty little Polkadot bag, my little bitty bag of dots. Polkadot always makes me think of ice cream. Polkadot ice cream. I don't eat ice cream. I'm very healthy. Also, by the way, if you want to see some other stuff that I do, I'm going to leave a link to my other channel. It's Color Boss Custom Auto Body Shop, where I do custom paint jobs. I'm a retired from the state civil engineer, and I do engineering consulting. I love cryptocurrency. I have a body shop, a health business, and I do a bunch of other things. Well, anyway, if you're interested and you're into cars, I'll leave you the link so you can check that out. That's about all I got for now. We will see you on the next episode when Bitcoin goes to the moon.